Hello, everybody. I'm back with three more interview questions for Terraform. All these questions are coming from my GitLab repo. I'll put a link to that in the description below. So if you prefer a written version of the same thing, you can just follow along in that repo. All right, so let's get started. The first question today is, should you store secrets in a private, sorry, not secrets. Should you store Terraform state files in a private repo? Is that a right thing to do, or is that not a good thing to do? Um, so the answer to that is actually it's not a good thing to do. Even though it's a private repo, the two reasons why you should not be keeping state files from Terraform into a repo. First of all, a lot of the state file might contain secrets, passwords and whatnot, or SSH keys and whatnot. So you don't want to store that information in a repo, even though they're private. Things leak all the time, so you shouldn't be doing that. The second reason for that is um, if multiple people are working on the same code base, developers will easily be overriding the state files that you have on the private repo. So there are better ways to get around this problem, but the answer to this question is you should not be storing state files in a private repo. It should be in a S3 bucket or something of that nature. All right, the next question is if you're going to deploy similar resources in different environments, development, staging, and production, right? How can you code efficiently so that you can deploy to similar code or almost same code and not have to repeat yourself multiple times for multiple environments? The trick to this is in the code base, you should not have any values hard coded. So if I'm, for example, if I'm um, deploying a bunch of EC2s in deployment, development, staging, or production, anything that varies between the environments, let's say the name of the EC2 or memory allocation, whatever. If something is different about the EC2s in different environments, those should become variables, and the values of those variables should be in the .tf vars file. And so you should, in your code, you should only be referring to a variable, values of which are in the .tf vars files. This way, your code can be exactly the same for different environments, but the values of these things will be in a different file. In a file, only that file is different between environments. That way, you can use the same code over and over again. All right, the next question is, how would you implement a Terraform pipeline? So by pipeline, I mean, for example, let's say that you have deployed 50 billion things into AWS through Terraform, but now it's day 2 and day 3 and day 4. Things are changing. New modified version of the resources will get deployed or modified or deleted, right? How do you create a pipeline so that those deployments happen automatically once something changes? One way to do that, if you're using, for example, GitLab, you can have a trigger whenever there is a change in your repo. It picks up the change, and you can run a bunch of stages and containers based on what you're trying to do. For example, let's say that you have a container called staging. You pick up the change, and that you have a stage called staging in the GitLab CI, right? And that's in part of that part of that process is do a stage that deploys a container, right? A container that pulls in Terraform, pulls in the code from the repo, and then deploys your new version that just got added into some cloud like AWS, right? And you can do this for different environments. So basically, your pipeline should differ based on what the change was and what the change in the staging. So in different containers, you deploy into different platforms, but these are all run through a pipeline that GitLab does it for you. Similar solution exists in GitHub Actions and other environments, other tools. But the idea is you get a trigger from a commit or a merge, and it deployed through some kind of containers that deploys the Terraform for you. All right. I will see you in the next Terraform interview questions video.